last time on Oz Hour?
Okay, last time on Oz Hour, they meet up with a little gate. Actually, it's a big gate, and it's locked, and they don't know how to get past the gate. And so Shaggy Man's like, close your eyes. And they go. And once they get past the gate, they realize, oh, that was weird because now it's behind us. And now they're in the country land of or the Emerald City, and they run into a little family, I think. And they say things like, you're weird, blah, blah, blah. Ojo's complaining about Ozma because he wants his fucking 6-leaf clover, and then they leave that place, go to the next. They see not the Tin Woodman. They see Scarecrow, and he's singing along, being weird and strange because we're like, what the fuck? Scarecrow doesn't sing. And then he meets Scraps, and they're like, we're so lumpy and we're so saggy, and it's just like a thing that we have and no one else does. So we're gonna be cute about it. And we get past that, and then what happens? That they continue. Oh yeah, and then Ojo, they're continuing forward, and Ojo decides to be a little thief, and he takes the 6-leaf clover for himself, and they get to the gate, and the man with the green whiskers is like, you're going to jail. That's it.
Hi there, and welcome to episode 39 of Oz Hour, the only place where you can hear everything you never knew about the wonderful and strange land of Oz.
That's right. With the help of some alcohol, we will be discussing each of the 14 books in L. Frank Baum's Wizard of Oz series.
Today, we will be continuing with Book 7, The Patchwork Girl of Oz, covering chapters 15 through 18.
We're your hosts, Blake Stone
and Wyatt Swingham.
And joining us is our resident Oz initiate, Hannah Aguirre.
Good day to ya.
All right.
We don't like that?
I don't know.
You don't like any of them.
Yeah. You only like Bueno, and I can't do it every week.
I just have a hard time with some of them. Can you do it again, maybe?
You can't ask me to do things
There's
twice.
just never going to be
pressure.
a chance for me to like it now. Okay. Hannah, you just played last time on where you recapped what happened last time in The Patchwork Girl of Oz. That took 1 minute and 26 seconds. So I've seen worse often.
Damn.
But in this instance, I actually didn't write down any notes of anything. You got something, Wyatt?
My only thing is really just, it's a very soft critique, which is that I think that we underemphasize the weird love magnetism between Scraps and the Scarecrow. But you made one comment about it, but I just think that to emphasize something's going on there and they might be fucking.
Yes. For our listeners at home,
That's true.
they don't see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So before we started recording, Wyatt went ahead and whipped us up some cocktails. What's this delicious thing?
Tonight, we are drinking the Royal Pardon, the recipe for which you can find on our Instagram at Oz Hour Podcast.
Let's slurp it.
Ooh, that's sour.
That's a children's drink.
That's yummy.
That's
All Aperol.
a melted
It's all
popsicle.
Aperol?
That's what Aperol tastes like? Bring me a glass.
It's Aperol and whiskey. Chapter 15, Ozma's Prisoner.
Oh, she is a tyrant.
Okay,
He's really
wait.
building up for Ozma to be a
So-
bad person.
You do remember that, Ojo plucked Clover, and as soon as they got to the gates, the soldier with the green whiskers was like, you're under arrest, bubs.
Mm-hmm.
So Ojo's so caught off guard, he doesn't really resist the arrest at all.
Yeah, and he knows he's guilty, so he's
knows
like,
he's guilty,
oh,
too."
fuck, how would Ozma know that? But he doesn't know what to do,
Yeah. Is it still in his pocket?
Well, it's in his basket, because he hid it under the bottom of the basket.
Okay.
And it's funny you ask that, because the first thing he does is he turns and he gives Scraps his basket, and he says, hold on to this until I'm out of prison, and if I'm never released, make sure this gets back to the Crooked Magician. So he's already planning
He's
for an
sacrificing
eventuality.
himself.
He is. He's like, I'm going to be working and toiling in the mines for the rest of my life, and I have to get, Ojo the Unlucky.
I'm gonna be the canary.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, but Scraps is never going to do that for you.
Yeah, and actually, it's also funny you say that,
Yeah,
because Scraps says, I'm not taking your basket.
Yeah,
I'm just
she
kidding.
said,
I'm
she
just
said
kidding.
take it
She
with
does,
you. No,
but
she
later
takes the
on,
basket.
something interesting will happen.
She takes the basket, but yeah, that is I'm glad that you said that in this episode.
I know her. That's my girl.
But the Shaggy Man is like just looking at Ojo's face because he's like, what is happening? But he's also just like looking at Ojo's face because he wants to defend him, but he can see that Ojo knows he's guilty.
Yeah,
And he's
he
like,
can tell.
I'm not gonna
I can't do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
You just-
considers, but he does not act.
Yeah.
Because he knows, or he believes. Well, he's unsure, I guess. He's like, I don't know what to think, but he knows that Ozma's never wrong. So
Yeah.
the soldier is like, okay, Ojo, you're in cuffs. Come with me to the entrance of the Emerald City. So there's that room, and this is where the guardian of the gate is. It's the little man who gave them the glasses in the first book, and now he's just the guardian. So
And
they
he's
arrive.
sitting there playing his harmonica.
You know, like he always
Like,
does.
you know, his famous mouth organ.
We've
guess
never
it's-
heard that.
Is that a prison thing?
Yeah, but we're not even at
No,
prison.
we're at the wall of the Emerald City right now.
Because
Still,
I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, you walk into prison, there's a harmonica.
Yeah, like for
playing.
some
I
reason
see.
you're
No,
like,
they're not even at prison yet. So the guardian of the gate is like, oh, hey, everybody. I just composed a tune called The Speckled Alligator. It's written in patch time, which is better than ragtime. Rags and patches.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
it's because the Patchwork Girl is there.
Yeah.
He wrote it in honor of the Patchwork Girl. And Scraps is like, how did you know I was coming?
What the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah,
How
like that's.
did you know?
Does the mirror tell the future too?
Well, he says it's his business to know. And I will say
Oh.
right now, this will never get resolved. I'm assuming, I guess, that maybe he has all sorts of connections throughout the land of Oz. Maybe Ozma told him.
Yeah, it's been.
Maybe she sent a
the
memo
word
to her whole
has
staff.
been.
Not for the
getting
last
spread.
Yeah.
time. Not for the last time in today's chapters. Oz, or the Emerald City in particular, is feeling very Big Brother, feeling very if you see something, say something kind of.
Yeah,
vibes,
that's
honestly.
true. Yeah. But he plays his little song, and once this is over, no one really comments. And the soldier is like, "Hey, I have a prisoner here."
Yeah, he's like, good gracious, a prisoner. What
Yeah,
the-
he like jumps up. He was not expecting a prisoner today, so he doesn't know everything. Actually,
Yeah.
it's not his job to know.
It's like it was supposed to be a slow day.
yeah.
Yeah, all I knew was a pillow was coming. I didn't know about the prisoner.
But interestingly enough, his first question is not the Shaggy Man, because the Shaggy Man is in there like with them, and he's like, "No, it's not the Shaggy Man." And I'm like, why was his first thought the Shaggy Man?
Because the Shaggy Man's a fucking crook.
He is a known thief, so that's true. He's a known wanderer.
He's like,
and
oh, they
vagrant."
got him this time.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder what kind of fucking dirt he has on the Shaggy Man. Seeing him
Yeah.
going in and out of that castle.
Interesting.
But no, he says it's the boy who's broken the law. Some law, because he's like, I don't know what law, which we already know. But whatever it
very-
was, he did it.
I like it when the people arresting people know what law
I know.
the criminal committed. But yeah, the soldier's like, I don't know what law he's broken, but he's broken some law. And the guardian of the gates is like, but nobody ever does that. And the
When was
soldier,
the last time they arrested someone?
Eureka's the only one I know of, but it really feels like that never happened here.
It's, I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
so. I mean, General Ginger also should have been arrested, but wasn't, I guess.
Yeah, she just got sent home.
Yeah.
The Gnome King
yeah.
should be in prison for war crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well.
So yeah, they only arrest people who pick grass.
Yeah, fuck you, Ojo.
But they say that hopefully Ojo will be found innocent, but for now he needs a prisoner's robe to put on Ojo.
Yeah, prisoner's robe. You know, the common thing that anyone would know about.
So I mean, it made enough sense to me at first. Until,
It does. Oh.
Well, just until they took it out of a closet, and it was a long white robe, but he throws it over Ojo's head. So it's not actually a robe; it's just a big sheet.
It's a white bed sheet with holes
With
cut out for the
eyes
eyes.
cut
What?
out.
He's
So
an
it's
old
it's
timey
a-
ghost.
Yeah, he's a ghost.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
an old
that's not
timey
a
ghost
robe.
costume.
No, it's not a robe.
And also, that's not a
It
prison attire
also-
that I usually would think.
no.
And I'm not pointing this out for no reason. It quite specifically says it has a pointy top.
Oh, it does?
It does. It says
Oh,
it's a
my.
pointed robe.
That's so they're humiliating them.
pretty much. Yeah. So this
That's
is
scary.
when I I was like, as I was reading this, I was like, what the hell am I reading? And I tried looking up like prison robe, prison costume, prison whatever, and like prison like uniforms. Like
Yeah.
today we have orange suits, but in the old times they had like,
The
striped
black and
suits or
white,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. But like in this like 1700s is when like they first started having prisoners wear like uniforms. Nothing about a prisoner's robe. I couldn't find
Where
anything.
the
So L. Frank Baum made this
Frank
up.
Baum, what are you
But
doing?
it is, I do agree though, it's to like make Ojo feel like when they parade
to
him through the
other
street,
him.
yeah, people are gonna know why he's wearing that. They're gonna know
Yeah.
what's happening. Like,
Yeah.
so I get that angle of it, but it's a strange thing. It's very
But
specific.
is it weird?
yeah.
Like, is he gonna be around town or is he gonna be in a
So
fucking
he-
dungeon?
He has to get from one place to another. We'll just say that for
Okay.
now. But the Shaggy Man tells Scraps, he's like, come on, I'm taking you, the Woozy and Bungle, to go see Dorothy. That's what the Scarecrow told us to do. That's what we're going to go do. And she's like, Ojo's being taken to prison. And he's like, Ojo's going to be fine. They're not going to hurt him. It's going to be fine. Just come with me. And they're like, and Scraps asks the Shaggy Man, like, what are they going to do to him? And the Shaggy Man's like, I have no idea.
He goes,
no one's ever been arrested.
Never
full
seen
button bright.
this.
He says, "Don't know."
Don't know.
Because this has never happened before.
Except the Shaggy Man is a thief.
Yeah, but not in Oz.
You know what? I guess, yeah.
I don't know.
He didn't steal from Oz.
Yeah, they actually cured him of his thieving.
And he actually gifted them something nice.
Stolen.
That he did steal. But he didn't steal from them.
But at this point, they enter the Emerald City and they part ways. So Ojo and the soldier go one way and the rest of the gang goes the other. And they're kind of going like back in this alley, but like people do kind of see Ojo, but like he's like looking away. He's getting, and I know that we know Ojo's a little moody. Ojo's in a really bad place right now. Like he is furious, and he is like, I don't know why the fuck Ozma is making a fuss over this, because like this means nothing. This is a stupid law. Like, this is embarrassing. I'm being walked through. I should be greeted as a traveler, and I'm being like taken in as a prisoner and paraded in the streets. He is just going, he's not saying anything, but internally he is going the fuck off.
Yeah, he's going to blow.
Frank Baum says that he's really busy thinking these thoughts, which many guilty prisoners have thought before him.
Which is fair.
And he doesn't even notice how beautiful the city around him is. Because, like, Scraps is, like, following the Shaggy Man, like, wow, look at this place. And Ojo is not even looking around. He's just like, fucking Ozma, that fucking bitch.
Damn.
Yeah, he's like
dark
mumbling under
cloud
his
around
breath.
him.
Yeah.
So they come to this cute little house with lots of windows and a garden out front. And it's located a little farther away from the other buildings.
Yeah. And it's kind of like by the wall. So it's like they're inside the city, but like on the inside wall, there's this little cottage. And yeah, it has a little flower garden. It's like really cute.
Yeah.
And the soldier goes up and knocks on the door.
So a woman opens the door, and when she sees Ojo, she's like, a customer.
Yeah, yeah, literally. Yeah, she's like, at long last, a prisoner. She's like, and a small one.
Yeah, and the soldier's like, hey, size don't matter, Tolly Diggle. He's a prisoner. This is a
Tollydiggle.
prison.
Hi,
You're a
Tollydiggle.
jailer. I'm leaving him with you. Yeah, Tolly Diggle.
Yeah.
Because we got like Margalot, and what was Scraps' name was supposed to be like
Evangeline.
Evangeline.
Oh.
Like they started introducing like real names in Oz, and then they're like, no, go back to Tolly Diggle.
Yeah, and I'm not going to remember Toggle.
Yeah, you already didn't.
Well, so Tolly Diggle is the jailer, and she like says, "Oh, okay, come on in." And Ojo is like just amazed at the beauty of the inside of this house. They kind of go back to like a like big round room, and it's like stained glass domed ceiling, gold paneling, plush rugs. It's
what?
silk furniture. There's bookcases with books, games. It has
Take
everything.
me to prison.
Well, Ojo is like, can I stay here for a little while before I go to the prison?
Oh, that's not even prison yet.
Wow.
Damn it.
Well, Tolly Diggle is like, this is prison. I'm the jailer.
Oh.
Yeah, and she's like, now let's get those cuffs off of you, silly.
Yeah, because escaping that house is impossible. She
Yeah,
says.
and the soldier is like, oh, yep, I know it's impossible. And I'm like, okay, so there's magic that prevents them from escaping, maybe?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's impossible because of some other reasons? I don't know.
Because she's like actually an ogre. She's like,
Yeah, if you get close to the exit, she goes,
There's no way you're
full
getting
ogre.
past her.
Yeah.
So they take off Ojo's handcuffs, and Tollydiggle touches a button on the wall, which lights a big chandelier in the center of the room.
So a light switch.
What's the budget for this?
It's a light switch, and here's the thing. This book's what, 1913? Indoor electricity was like popular to have. It was like the fashion in like the 1930s.
So
Al Frank
they're
Baum
pretty
invented indoor electricity.
I guess he did.
Okay, yes, but he also was doing wireless telegraphy at the beginning of the book.
Oh, that's true.
And
He's really ahead of his time.
what's the word? He's
literally a sci-fi writer. He's writing about the
Oh.
future. Like
he is. He's a genius.
I think that, yeah.
If he had the
He's
technical
prolific.
skills, prolific.
So Tollydiggle sits down at her desk and she starts the booking process for Ojo into prison. And she's like, "What name?" And the soldier's like, "Ojo the Unlucky." And Tollydiggle's like, "Unlucky? Oh yeah, that explains it. Makes sense to me." She asks the soldier what Ojo's crime is, and the soldier says, "Breaking a law." And she says, "Oh, okay, here's your receipt."
And the soldier's like, "Well, now I have to go report to Ozma because that's my job."
Yep.
And then
I have to
he's
show
gone.
her that I'm a very good police force and army and bodyguard.
Yeah. And then the jailer asks if Ojo is hungry. And she offers him 3 things, which are kind of insane. She says, "Do you want planked whitefish, omelet with jelly, or mutton chops with gravy
Hannah,
for your supper?"
What do you pick?
That is planked whitefish, omelet with jelly, or mutton chops with gravy.
What's mutton chops?
Sheep.
That one.
Yeah, fucking duh. And Ojo chooses it too.
He does. I agree.
good.
That's
He
the
has good
obvious
taste.
choice. Although,
Omelet with jelly? What does that even
Yeah, the omelet with
mean?
jelly, I was like, hell no. The fish, I was like, maybe.
I mean, yeah, planked whitefish. I don't know what that means.
I don't
but
know what
like
you're going to
fish.
do with it, but
I
I'm
was
kind
thinking
of
like
curious.
cedar plank.
But the gravy is what sold me.
Cedar plank.
I don't personally like lamb or like sheep milk products, so I would be afraid of the mutton. But that's a me problem.
But chops and gravy, come on.
Yeah, that sounds
Red
right.
meat and gravy. He's been eating he's been eating magic bread and cheese and that one meal that the wolf made.
Thank
or
God he
whatever.
went to jail, I guess.
Oh yeah, and because okay, so Ojo's like, wait, like what the fuck? Like this is crazy. But she's going and making the food. He's like, I'm a fucking hotel guest. Like all the windows are unlocked, all the doors are unlocked, and there's 3 doors in this room. And he's like,
How is it impossible to leave?
well, so he goes over and he checks one, and it's unlocked. He opens it, and it's a hallway. And he's like,
It's a
oh my
maze.
God.
He's like, I'm not gonna run away though. Like,
well, yeah.
it's fine here. Like
Like
this
what's
lady
gonna...
is literally making me a hot meal.
Because maybe they'll take you somewhere bad if you try to escape.
Yeah, just
Yeah, there's
stay
things
Because you're
the
going to
bed.
get
worse.
caught. They said
Stay
it's
put.
impossible to leave.
Yeah. But Ojo's rationales, he's like, she left me here and trusted me, and I don't want to break her trust, which I think kind of goes along with the same thing. It's like, you want to be on her good side. You don't want the
Yeah.
first day you're there to be the
He's
day
got
that she's
Stockholm
like,
syndrome
oh,
already.
so you tried to escape? Exactly. He is
He
already
does.
like,
They're
yeah.
like, let's figure out what this place is at
Yeah.
least. But Ojo, he picks up a book and he looks at the pictures in it. I'm assuming he can't read?
Yeah, because it said he looked at the pictures, and I'm like, I guess maybe Unc Nunky never had a chance to teach him to read with his 10 words a year, but it
Poor
still feel like he may
baby.
have read before.
Poor
But-
baby. But he looks at the book until Tollydiggle comes back with a big tray of food, and she sets the table for him. And while he eats, she just like sits really close by, and she just has some sewing that she's doing in her lap. Like it's like she's just his little mommy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he is the best meal he's ever had in his life.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
so,
this one's real.
And this one is real. He's actually filled up by it. It's not a haunted ghost wolf. But afterward, she reads him a story from a book, which I'm like, yes, he's 6, but maybe he
Yeah.
just can't read.
But finally, Ojo's just like, is this really a prison? And she's like, no, Ojo, you died. This is hell.
Stop.
No, that's not
You'd
what happens
think.
at all. He asks, though, is this really a prison? Excuse me. And she's like, yeah, it's the only prison in the land of Oz.
And he's like, and I'm actually a prisoner. And she's like, yeah, of course you're a prisoner. That's the only reason you're
She's
here.
like, don't you see you're locked up?
But that's
With
the thing,
all
he's-
windows and doors unlocked.
Yeah, he's like locked up. Like, this prison is so beautiful and you're so nice to me. And she like seems like really surprised that he's saying this, but she's like, okay, dude, like, a prisoner is an unfortunate thing to be, and it's unfortunate in two ways, because the person's done something wrong and because their liberty has been taken away from them. So Ozma believes that if you do wrong, it's because you're not strong and brave. So they just teach their prisoners to be strong and brave so that they'll resist the urge to do wrong in the future.
And apparently the best way to teach strength and bravery is to be kind to somebody.
Is to be kind.
I don't know
agree
if that's
with
the
that.
truth.
I do agree with prison reform, which I think L. Frank Baum is talking about here, but he explained it to like children of the 1900s.
Yeah, it's like I don't like punitive punishment, like punishment as like
because punishment back then was probably way worse than it even. I mean, it's pretty bad now, but I mean, like,
probably like
they were
gang or something.
Yeah, they were being not as civilized, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was like back then I think that being in prison would have been a lot scarier than it is today. But of course, today we have like commercial prisons and like people who are in prison like wrong. It's a whole different thing now. It was bad then, it's bad now. But either way, I think L. Frank Baum is saying, like, don't send people to prison to be punished. Send them to prison to rehabilitate them. And, like, but at the same time, I'm like...
L. Frank Baum, he always surprises me.
I want to bring him back to life and kiss him on the mouth.
I'm also glad that Ojo isn't a psychopath who just wants to kill everyone in Oz, because it sounds like this would be... If he could manipulate them into just letting him go, he could just be fucking out on the street again.
Yeah, if
like,
it was like...
This is unstructured and dangerous.
Yeah, this is scary. This is not how prison
This is way too far the wrong way.
If there's actually bad people, like...
Yeah,
y'all are fucked.
They're lucky the first person that did a crime was Ojo, and that his crime was actually trying to save his uncle.
Plucking grass.
Yeah, because this is insane.
And it's crazy because there's been way worse people than Ojo.
Oh yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
The Wizard of Oz basically like captured the entire city. Like he was a rogue dictator.
Yeah.
The people loved him, and they still do.
They thought they did.
Do they still?
Manipulation.
They still do.
But Ojo says, he's like, I thought prisoners were always treated harshly as punishment. And Tolly Diggle is like really shocked by this. And she's like, knowing that you've done something wrong is punishment enough. Which again, doesn't work today. We have like so many more like psychopaths than
Psycho
they did.
killer. Messing in the ba 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 ba.
But she she asks him, she's like, okay, Ojo, don't you wish with all your heart that you hadn't been disobedient and broken the law? And Ojo's like, well, when you guys marched me through the streets with that sheet over my face, I really didn't like being different than everyone else. And she's like, exactly.
Which I'm like, okay, what's the point? Like,
you did punish him. But you're saying no punishment. You march him through the street with a dunce cap on.
And humiliated him.
Either way, this whole sequence was just like so much to like read through and digest. But in the end, she's just saying, hey, you learned your lesson already. And now Ozma is going to judge you and you'll be treated justly. And then you'll be punished. And that's all that there is.
She's like, no more serious talk. Let's play a game before your trial tomorrow.
Yeah, literally. She's like, now a game before bed.
Fun.
Yeah. And that is the end of chapter 15, Ozma's Prisoner. And Blake, what would you call that?
Love for the locked up.
Chapter 16, Princess Dorothy.
Cut to Dorothy, sitting in one of her rooms in the palace.
Just right to her.
Toto is curled up at her feet.
Yeah. She's wearing a plain white frock because she's a plain little country girl. She's simple, but she has her emerald hair ribbon, so she still has the glam.
Slay.
And she is basically, there's a long explanation of her history, but what we're told...
Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Dorothy is the best. She doesn't let being a princess spoil her.
She's still sweet and normal and very nice.
Okay. Love that.
And she's reading a book because she has lots of time.
Okay.
And another favorite of the palace, Jalea Jam.
Ooh.
I know, right? I'm like, two favorite girls.
Honestly,
all our favorites.
Has it been a while? I feel like Jalea Jam's in every book, but for some reason when she entered this one, I was like, hey.
I think she was in the last book because they were at the palace a lot.
God, it just feels like I haven't seen her in so long.
Yeah, it does.
I hope she's doing good. I love her.
I'm proud of her.
She's a favorite of the palace.
Mm-hmm.
But she comes and she's like, hey, Dorothy, the Shaggy Man is here and he wants to come up and see you. And Dorothy's like, oh, cool. Send him up. Like, I'm chilling. Like, I'm just relaxing tonight.
Julia's like, oh, okay, yeah, can do. He also has some queer creatures with him.
But they're not just queer.
They perhaps may even be the queerest she's ever seen.
Yeah. Isn't that insane?
Don't fucking say that shit to Dorothy.
Yeah.
Dorothy's always around the queerest of the queer.
And
Yeah.
you know what? Literally, Dorothy's like, okay.
Yeah, she's like,
Send
bring them all
them
up.
She's like, okay, I don't know why you needed to
Bring
say all
them
that. Like, Jesus Christ, hurry up.
So when Shaggy and his friends come
Oh
into
my
the
God.
room, Dorothy jumps up. She is shocked at the sight of
In
these
amazement.
creatures, nonetheless, of the queerest of all, the Patchwork Girl.
She wasn't sure if Scraps is alive or if she is a dream or if she is a nightmare.
A nightmare. Are you a,
nightmare.
sweet dream or a beautiful nightmare? Okay, but can we just say, please, the Patchwork Girl is the queerest. The Woozy is insane.
yeah, that's...
Yeah, the Woozy being all
She
square
she
is
can't
something
tell
else.
if it's a dream or a nightmare. That's gonna be the Woozy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dorothy's best friend is a scarecrow.
He's-
The Patchwork Girl's not that crazy.
Honestly, when
not.
I think Woozy, I'm like, kind of gives like Sawhorse to me though. Like weird,
With skin.
yeah, just like weird body shape, like all squares. I don't know. Like, no, I'm not saying the Woozy's a normal
Okay,
animal.
well, Bungle is still crazier
But
than Scraps.
seeing a-
but
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
Scraps is the craziest for Dorothy's perspective.
when Dorothy saw that Woozy come into her bedroom, she should have screamed.
Honestly, with everything Dorothy has seen, none of these things should be a shock.
And
That's the
they're
bottom
not,
line.
They're not a shock to Toto either, because he like goes up, he sniffs the Patchwork Girl, and he's like, "Oh, okay," and he just like goes back and like lays down somewhere.
Okay.
But Dorothy isn't done because she's like, "You're a new little thing. I can't imagine where you're from."
Scraps is like, "Oh, me? I come from a bed quilt. That's everything you need to know."
And Dorothy's like, "No, but like, how are you alive?
Yeah.
Like, you need to tell me how you're alive because I can tell that you're a patchwork quilt."
that I can tell.
Yeah, that is the
not the question.
only
Maybe that's
thing I
why
can
she
tell.
thought she was dreaming. She's like, "Is that my blanket?"
Yeah, Nan's blanket.
But Scraps tells Dorothy all about Margalot, the Crooked Magician, the Powder of Life, and she tells Dorothy that a very educated gentleman she recently met called the Scarecrow told her that she's the most beautiful creature in all of Oz.
And Dorothy's
Still
like,
talking about it.
"I know, right?" and,
She's got a crush.
And Dorothy just took in a lot of information because Scraps just explained to Dorothy everything that's happened to her or like where she came from. And Dorothy's like, "Whoa, you met the Scarecrow? That's awesome. But I'm sorry. Can you tell me a little more about like the Crooked Magician doing magic? Because Ozma's
Illegal.
not going to want to, or Ozma is going to want to know about that."
yeah. Next
Bungle does speak up. And she's like, "Hey, like the Crooked Magician only practices magic for the benefit of his own family."
Which is it's a good defense, you know. Like I'm
Yeah.
happy Bungle said it.
I mean, that's the excuse that he already gave Ojo and Nunky
Yeah.
when like they didn't even ask for an
Yeah.
explanation. So I mean, like I
Little
felt
bit
like
doth
he was
protest.
justified. Yeah,
But-
totally. But Dorothy like looks down at Bungle and she's like, "Oh my god, like what are you, glass?"
yeah, she hadn't even noticed her yet.
And Bungle's like, "Yes, I'm
all
glass,
glass.
transparent. I have lovely pink brains. You can see them work."
And Dorothy's like, "Get over here. Let me see those brains work then."
Yeah.
Because like Dorothy's just interested in all
And this
these
is the
things.
first time someone's been like, "Oh, cool, pink brains. Yeah, I'll come see them work. Like, come over here.
Yeah.
I'll see them work." Everyone is like, "Okay, that's great."
Yeah, no one actually cares.
Kind of happy for Bungle in this moment, and it just makes me love Dorothy more. But Bungle's afraid of Toto, and she's like, "Well, send that beast away, and I'll come closer." And Dorothy's like, "That's not a beast.
That's my baby
my
angel."
dog Toto. He's the kindest dog in the world, and he's actually very smart. So
Yeah. Yeah,
you can
So-
see his pink brains work."
Period. But Dorothy does tell Toto to be good, and he says bow wow. And Bungle's like so conceited that she does want to show off her brain. So she does go up and show Dorothy. And Dorothy's like, "So how do you know about the Crooked Magician?" Because Bungle was created before Scraps, so Scraps didn't include that in her story.
Yeah.
And Bungle's like, "Oh, like, here's the thing. I don't like the Crooked Magician. I hate him.
He's a dick.
But like, I do want to just say for the record that he refuses to do magic for other people. He won't accept money for it. He's not doing it for profit.
Yeah,
he is
Okay.
just doing it for his own
she's
family.
Coming to
Like,
his defense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's
well, like fairly, Bungle's not loyal to anyone. Like she's just like
Yeah.
stating the facts, and she's like, I was made for companionship. Scraps was made to do chores
yeah.
around the house. Like we were made for the house.
Yeah.
So
And Dorothy's like, how are you here then?
yeah. Then why am I looking?
She's like,
at
then why are
you?
you not in the house?
Claim to be a
Where's
household
the house?
project. Yeah, you are not household projects if you were in the Emerald City.
The Shaggy Man takes over here.
Yeah,
and
thank
he gives
God.
the full history of this book. And Dorothy, for the most part, is impressed by Ojo's behavior and his plan to rescue his family.
Yeah. She's glad he saved the Woozy. Like, she thinks that's cool.
Yeah.
But then she hears he's arrested.
Yeah, and she's like, well, that's crazy because, like, that would only happen if he actually did something wrong. Nobody's ever arrested here. So she asks the Shaggy Man what he's done, and the Shaggy Man is like, I think he picked a 6-leaved clover. I didn't see him do it, but he was talking about it. I told him not to, and then we got arrested. So
Okay.
And Dorothy's like, oof. Well, okay. I guess it's just going to be Scraps, Woozy, and Bungle going to save Unc Nunky and Margalot now, because if he did that, he's fucking fucked.
which, based off
Oh.
of the gangs that we would have in the past, you would hope that they'd be like, yep, I guess we're just going to continue the journey. No, Scraps says, Margalot and Unc Nunky are strangers to me. They went petrified at the moment I came to life. I don't know them. I'm not doing anything.
That's
for
not my
them.
mission.
Bungle is like, I'm not doing shit for them. Like, there's no point. And the Woozy, finally, is like, you know, I was alone forever, and I was waiting for someone to come and rescue me, and Ojo did that for me, and I'm going to help him rescue his family.
Yeah. He's like,
Oh.
I'm a stupid beast. I might not be able to do anything at all that's good, but I was locked up and they're locked up, and I'm going to fucking do everything I can to help.
Yeah, he
And-
says, Dorothy,
He has
like,
a purpose now.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, Dorothy, I can't think for myself in that capacity. You just tell me what to do, and I'll do it.
And she goes and pats his little head, and she tells him he is so ugly and asks if he can do anything special.
Okay.
She also says she likes him.
Yeah, she said,
Okay,
but
okay,
you're not
okay.
pretty, but I
Yeah.
like you.
Yeah. But she asks if he has anything special, and he's like, you say Crizzle Crew, and I'll flash fire out my eyes. And I used to be able to growl, I thought, but maybe not. And then Shaggy Man just asks what will happen to Ojo, because no one cares what the Woozy is fucking saying.
Dorothy's like, Ozma will probably have to come up with a punishment, but I mean, I've never seen anyone punished in Oz, so I don't know what she'll do. And Scraps is just like,
She's
idly
bored.
walking around the room, looking through the basket, and she sees the bread and cheese. She sees the bundle of charms, and underneath all of that, she sees the 6-leaved clover that Ojo picked.
Oh.
And Scraps has like a come to Jesus moment. And she's like, okay, I may not have a heart, but Ojo is my best friend. Like,
Yeah.
he's my first friend. He's my best friend.
Yeah.
And she also is like, Ojo handed me this basket because he wanted me to have the clover.
So she looks around, and there's this little glass vase on a table. And so she plucks that little 6-leaf clover out, and she hides it in the vase, because she is thinking, there's not going to be any evidence anywhere in here.
Hide the evidence.
I am eliminating evidence. And she's like, I don't know that fucking Unc Nunky. I don't know that. Well, she knows Margalot
Unless
was
they
gonna
have security
enslave her.
footage.
Well, and the fucking magic picture is probably running right now, just
Right.
like zoomed in on them.
But
That's very true.
Yeah, Ozma could literally, like, at the end of today be like, magic picture, show me the clover that Ojo picked.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but
The evidence is everywhere.
she drops it. She drops it in the vase, and she turns around. She walks back over to Dorothy, and she's like, actually, I don't care about Ojo's uncle, but I care about Ojo, so I will help him. And by the way, Ojo didn't break the law, and there's no proof that he did.
So he has to be released.
Yeah. And Dorothy's like, well, Ozma's never been wrong before, but if you can prove Ojo's innocence, then yeah, he'll be free.
Yeah, Dorothy's
And
like, I fucking hope. Everyone has hoped that Ojo would be innocent and be released.
But Scraps is like, I don't have to prove his innocence. They have to prove his guilt.
And Dorothy just shrugs because she's
Yeah.
like, this isn't the fucking
She's like,
United States.
okay.
I mean,
What do you
Scraps
think
though does have a lot of knowledge.
She's very
Scraps
smart
has
and
all
very
these,
posy.
strange
forward.
brain.
So if you want anyone to defend you, I think Scraps might be your best option.
Is
Right.
probably a better lawyer than who are the lawyers in the fucking
Oh my god, the
at
Tin
Eureka's
Woodman
trial?
and the Wogglebug.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my god. Yeah.
Tin Woodman was a horrible lawyer.
No.
But so Dorothy's just like, okay, well, it's almost dinner, and I have to go to dinner with Ozma. So she gets the Woozy his own room in the palace, and she tells the servants to give him as much food as he desires. And the Woozy's like, honeybees.
And she's like, no honeybees.
Oh my god.
But more just that she's like, you can't have honeybees here. You can have any other food
You're
that
not
you
going
want.
to eat anything alive.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But she sends Bungle to like just a different room to like rest and chill out and be safe. But she keeps Scraps in her room because she's very interested in Scraps. She's like, I want to understand you better. I want to have some conversations with you to see who you are and what you're like, which I just love for Dorothy.
Why are you like a private investigator?
I
Like,
know.
or-
She
I don't
wants
know.
she's trying to understand everything.
Yeah, you really
She wants the
are.
webs because it's the web he weaves. But that is the end of the web for chapter 16, Princess Dorothy. And Blake, what would you princess that?
I would princess that. The Patchwork's Pardon.
Chapter 17, Ozma and her friends.
So this starts with the Shaggy Man going to his room, getting all washed and cleaned up and dressed, which means, of course, that he brushes his hair in every direction and he puts on a shaggy suit.
Yeah. I will say the shaggy suit is pea green and pink satin, which kind of works for me.
Jolly Green Giant in
I'm
like a
into
really
that.
cute way.
Yeah, it's kind of giving that runway show we just watched with our friend
Vivian Westwood.
Rachel. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Vivian-
not Vivian Westwood.
I
Our
was like,
friend.
Our
we know
friend
her.
is not Vivian Westwood.
But I think that's the one, the doll-like one.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It was really giving that, which was I was interested in. But it's bold. But he does his bath, he gets dressed, and then he goes down. And in the dining room, like Dorothy's already there, the wizard is there, and the scarecrow is already there.
Yeah. A moment later, the doors open and an orchestra plays, and Ozma enters the banquet hall.
Yeah.
And we learn that there are, well, first of all, we learn how beautiful and great Ozma
Yeah.
is, as we do every time we see her. But also, we learn that there are two Ozmas.
Yeah.
There's the wise, noble, powerful ruler, and just the like carefree, fun-loving, sweet young woman.
Yeah. So when she's out in her robe with her scepter, she has to be the fucking law of the land.
She's professional.
She's settling arguments. She's doing things to make people happy. But when she's with her friends, she's fun. She's laughing. And the first thing she does when she gets back here is she kisses Dorothy. She shakes the wizard's hand. She like squeezes the scarecrow. And she's like, oh, your ear looks beautiful. It's better than before. And it's just so sweet. Like she's just a normal girl,
She's just
you know?
getting to be girl.
Alive and well.
Yes.
Yes.
Very sweet.
So Ozma tells the Scarecrow, she's like, the Sawhorse must have made his legs twinkle carrying you to Ginger and back in one day. Like, I didn't think I was going to see you until tomorrow.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, actually, like, I met this charming girl on the way out of town, and I just wanted to be back here before she was gone.
Ozma says, I know.
Yeah. She's like, the Patchwork Girl? Yeah, I know. And he's like, oh, did you see her? And she's like, the magic picture, dude. Like, I have a magic picture that shows me everything. That's how I saw her.
Scarecrow's
Like, I
like,
see everything. How do
literally-
you not get that past
Scarecrow,
your
are you
fucking
brand new here?
pins and screws and whatever else fuck is
Yeah.
in your head?
All that fuck.
Like, I know he sings now, but is he also dumb now?
Maybe.
But yeah, she's like, I mean, she looked good. She looked fine. You know, that patchwork quilt that she's made from is beautiful. She looked fine on my magic picture. The Scarecrow is very glad that Ozma likes her and asks where Scraps is right now.
And Dorothy's like, oh, she's actually in my room. And she's, after her little time, like, interviewing Scraps, she likes her. She thinks that she is very uncommon, like, but in a good way. Like, she's like
Unique.
she likes her. Yeah, she's into the Scarecrow or the Patchwork Girl.
The Shaggy Man is like, yeah, and Dorothy, I think she might even be half crazy. And they crack up laughing together.
Yeah. But Scarecrow's like, but
little
she's beautiful.
jokesters.
She's beautiful. And like he's kind of like stuck
He's
on her a
obsessed.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they just
And they
drop
can
it.
tell.
They're
Yeah.
both obsessed.
They drop it.
They all can tell. They're like, oh, Scarecrow's interested. Like, we don't need to say anything against her. And we even get some good advice from L. Frank Baum, which is when you're in a group and there's lots of different people, just be careful about what you say. Avoid hurting people's feelings, because that's how you get to enjoy yourself and your friends. And you can be friends with anybody if you're just like sensitive to their like, thoughts and emotions. On one hand, I'm like, well, say what you feel, but also like they don't need to tell.
They don't have to
him
say
that she's
Scraps is
ugly.
crazy.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
crazy.
So they're also very careful not to discuss unpleasant things as a group of friends. So for that reason, Ojo and his imprisonment do not come up
Yeah.
at all tonight.
Off the table.
But
But
I mean, I guess they're off the clock.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. Everyone's at dinner right now. Like Ozma, like had to sign an arrest warrant. Like Dorothy met the friends who were grieving their friend's arrest. The Shaggy Man, like everyone doesn't want to talk about that. That's not fun conversation. But the Shaggy Man does explain the adventure he had with everybody, like how they took Chiss's quills and buried them in the pond, how the Woozy was in prison and Ojo saved him. And Dorothy also mentions that she likes the Woozy. She's like, oh yeah, like I like that thing. And Ozma's never fucking heard of a Woozy before. So she's like, that's interesting to her too.
Dorothy's in love with the Woozy, not so crazy about the glass cat.
Yeah.
Shaggy Man, who likes the glass cat quite a bit, he's like, oh, like she's just really pretty, and if she wasn't so conceited about her pink brains, like she'd be perfect. She's fine.
At this point, at the far, this is my own like take on it, but at the far end of the table, the little old man sitting eating his Brussels sprouts goes, "The powder of life, that's something amazing. That Dr. Pip not using it right." Because if you forgot, the wizard is here. The wizard is here. He is eating just
hasn't spoken the whole
quietly in the corner,
And so then he spoke up like a parrot.
yes, just like a parrot. But he does. He says the powder of life's amazing, but that it's not being used right. And Ozma's like, yeah, I'll be seeing about that. Like,
I'll be the
that's on her
judge of
list.
that.
But then there's a tone shift.
Yeah.
And Ozma's like, it's Dr. Pip's famous powder of life that enabled me to become the ruler of Oz.
Yeah.
And it's like all like, okay, now we like Dr. Pip, like make up your mind.
Yeah, this is confusing.
But the Shaggy Man has never heard this story before. He's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
So Ozma talks about how when she was a baby, she was taken by Mombi, turned into a boy. She brought Jack to life. She brought the Sawhorse to life. Glinda turned her back into Ozma. And she says that if it weren't for the powder of life, there would be no Ozma, no Jack, or no Sawhorse.
Which is mostly true. Although, like, it is a full history of her life. But the thing it omits or is wrong about is that Glinda did not restore her to being a girl. That was Mombi, just magically. Obviously, Glinda, like, led the
Oh, yeah,
army.
she forced Mombi to do
And
it.
also in the original history, Mombi did not steal Tip away. The Wizard of Oz, who was at the table, took Ozma to Mombi and gave her magical tricks so that she would imprison him. But then that got revised, and I'm a little confused about whether what's true or not. But those are the only two things. Otherwise, no rewrites.
Yeah.
Those may have been big rewrites, though.
Yeah.
But still.
Shaggy Man loves the story. He's super impressed by it. But everyone else just goes and hangs out at, or all of them, actually, him included, I'm sorry. But after dinner, they all just go to Ozma's drawing room and have an old-fashioned kickback until bedtime.
Yeah, they just chill out and drink fucking Crown Royal Peach until they all pass the fuck out. And that's the end of chapter 17. Ozma and her friends at dinner. And Blake,
Oh, I'm excited for this
what
name.
what is your name for that chapter?
Oh, don't get too excited. A Feast of Friends.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh. Whew.
Chapter 18. Ojo is forgiven. If you didn't think that the royal pardon was going to be a clue for the name of this episode or for the end of this
I
episode,
wondered about that.
you were
one.
wrong.
So the next morning, the soldier with the green whiskers picks Ojo up from prison and takes him to the royal palace for trial.
And he's all robed up again. They put the robe back over him, they cuff him,
Yes.
and
March him
this
through the
time,
streets.
yeah, the people are like, they see him, and like Ojo's embarrassed still. Like, he's like mortified, but like he's like sees them, and they're like, they see him, and they're like, we're going to the palace. Like
Yeah.
they see him and they turn around to go to the palace because they
Like,
know
there's
he's a
trial
prisoner.
coming.
Okay.
Yeah, like they're like, this has
and they've
never happened.
Seen one except
Yeah.
for Eureka's, which we seem to keep forgetting ever happened.
Yeah.
So he's also kind of happy that he has the robe on because he's like, okay, nobody can tell who I am because like after my conversation with Tally Dog or her name
Tallydiggle.
He's like, wow, like I actually am like so ashamed. I'm embarrassed.
And he gets into the throne room finally, and it's beautiful, as we know. It's beautiful. It's granite, and there are hundreds of people in there waiting to watch him. Yes. And Ozma is sitting on her throne. She has her big robe of state on. She has her scepter.
Yes.
And Dorothy is just a little bit lower to her right. The Scarecrow's to her left. And then a little bit lower in front of them is like the wizard. He's just in his little chair.
Her fucking crew.
Yeah. And then on the table...
Everybody shut up.
Yeah. On the table, there is a little gold vase. In fact, it's the vase from Dorothy's chambers. Which contains
I'm
maybe
humiliated.
The evidence.
Something. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So just so you know, it is sitting there waiting.
Now two people are in trouble.
Right?
Yeah.
I literally text Wyatt earlier today when I was reading this separately, and I was like, I got to the vase on the table, and I'm gagged.
Yeah.
I could not believe.
Also, the hungry tiger and the lion are there too.
Oh.
They're like on each side guarding Ozma as always.
And
Okay.
Dorothy is holding Toto.
Yeah.
Ojo's never seen a dog. So he's like, what is that? What is that? Oh, what is that? So as Ojo's brought into the room at the exact same moment, the Shaggy Man leads Scraps, the Woozy, and Bungle into the throne room, and they all just kind of like line up facing Ozma.
And Scraps is like, "Hello, Ojo. How are you?" And he's like, "I'm all right."
I'm all right.
You're not feeling super great.
Yeah.
Ojo is so visibly nervous. And like Scraps is unable to feel nervousness.
Yeah.
The Woozy's a little uneasy, and Bungle loves the attention.
Yeah.
But Ozma signals for the soldier to remove Ojo's robe, and he yanks it off Ojo's head. And Ojo stands there facing Ozma for the first time, and he sees just like, oh my god, like, okay, this is a sweet, normal, kind-looking person. Maybe she'll go easy on me.
Yeah, for the first time, he's like, "Oh my god, maybe she's gonna be merciful." Like, maybe, which is just based on her looks. But honestly, seeing her and being like, "Oh, she looks pretty normal,"
It would calm me down.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like
But-
Langwedier, while beautiful, probably looks very intense.
yeah,
But,
I
like,
think that,
Ozma's beautiful and kind.
and Ozma
Yeah.
does look kind. And she's that being said, she stares him down for a few minutes. She doesn't say anything. She just looks at him and appraises him. And he is like, his voice already, I don't think we said, his voice like broke when he was saying, "All right." Like, he's nervous.
Oh no.
But she says, one law in the land of Oz is that you are forbidden to pick a 6-leaf clover. And you, Ojo, are accused of having knowingly broken this law. But she doesn't do it with any drama like I did. She just says it as a fact.
Just saying it.
And Ojo hangs his head because he doesn't know what to fucking say.
He's trying to think of what to say for himself. And
But he doesn't have to speak because he has a council
Yeah.
here.
Before he comes up with a response, Scrap steps forward, and she's like, "All of this fuss is over nothing. You can't prove that Ojo picked a clover, so just drop it."
Yeah.
And
You can search him. You can search his basket. You won't find it anywhere. She's going
Ozma-
off.
Ozma
Oh,
just
God.
stares at Scraps.
Yeah, she doesn't even move. The people in the Emerald City are shocked at how Scraps spoke. And then after like a minute, the wizard is like, "I think he picked it. And I think he put it in that basket. I think he gave that basket to you, Scraps. And you put it in this golden vase." And then Scraps, because she's a fucking airhead, looks over the vase and she's like, "Oh," because she hadn't seen the vase before. And he's like, "Nothing is hidden from Ozma's gaze.
Yeah.
Behold!" And then he waves his hands around because he's magic.
What does?
Slowly,
Okay.
a sprout starts to come out of the vase, and then it turns into a big bush out of the top of the vase.
Oh my
It's
god.
crazy.
This is like
Out
Moses in the burning
At the
bush.
very
Yes.
center, at the very top of the bush, is the 6-leaf clover growing out of it. Like show off.
And Scraps is like, so you found it, but you can't prove he picked it. And it's like,
Yeah, let's see
Scraps,
that.
dude.
But
I
honestly,
mean,
she's
yeah.
a good
She's
lawyer.
fighting for her life.
She's a
She
good lawyer.
is.
But
Yeah.
Ozma turns to Ojo and she's like, did you pick the 6-leafed clover? And Ojo's like, yes.
Yeah, he gives it.
Ruins all the defense.
He's like, and I knew it was against the law.
God, just turning himself in. That's
wanted-
how they get you. They
Yeah.
put you in a nice prison with all unlocked doors.
Yeah.
And then you feel like you can trust them and
They're like,
spread
Want
all your truth
want a
everywhere.
cigarette, Ojo? Come on.
Yeah.
You can talk
Yeah.
to us.
Talk to me.
He knew it was illegal all along, but he wanted to save his uncle, and he was scared that if he asked Ozma's permission, she'd say no. And Ozma's like, why would you think that?
And he's like, well, the law made no sense. Like, the law makes no sense. I just thought it was a stupid law. I thought the person who made that law, like, also might be stupid and unjust and like be doing the wrong thing. And he's like does like a little speech. But he's like, but now I'm here. Like I hadn't been here before. So like I didn't know it was gonna be like this. I didn't know you were like this. I was just afraid, basically.
So Ozma just kind of like stares at him while she thinks with her chin on her hand. And after a moment, she just smiles. But then she goes immediately back to being serious. And she's like, I guess there are a lot of laws that seem foolish to the people who don't understand them. But laws are made for a reason. And since you're a stranger to the Emerald City, I'm going to explain our foolish law to you. Okay?
Yeah. And Ojo's probably already feeling like, oh my fucking
Like a
God.
fucking dumbass.
Yeah. Because Ozma reminds us that there have been many bad things that have happened in Oz. There
We're
were
getting
wicked witches.
History lesson.
Yeah, there were wicked witches that terrorized the land.
Evil magicians.
Yeah, Mombi who stole her. All these bad things. And because of all that, and then the Gnome King, God knows, but like, because of all that, Ozma has made a law that prevents people from doing magic. But people still do it secretly. She's like, people do it all the time. Like,
And
people
guess
try.
what ingredient people use in their
Yeah.
magic potions?
The most common ingredient in magic potions is a 6-leaved clover. So she not only made it illegal to, do magic, but she's like, and also it's illegal to pick these 6-leaf clovers. And that has helped stop people from doing it because people could pick a clover and do it in the safety of their homes, in privacy, and now they can't.
Yeah.
So,
you have to ask for permission.
yeah.
She's
and so
like-
it just makes sense.
Yeah. Ozma's
100%
like,
makes sense.
Our law might seem silly to you, but you're not from here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you didn't ask.
You can't just
and
do
it's
whatever you want.
actually a very fair and just law to keep our people safe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes,
And
Queen.
Ojo thinks it makes sense, and he feels fucking stupid for calling her unjust and stupid.
In a public court.
Yeah, in a
Accountability.
public court. Yeah, in front of the entire nobility.
Your Honor, you're dumb.
Yeah.
But Ojo looks Ozma in the face and he is like, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to act wrongly. I didn't mean to break your law. I mean, I did, but I'm sorry that I did it. And Ojo accepts his guilt and tells Ozma that he will suffer any punishment that she sees fit.
And she
Okay.
says, good, because that punishment is death. No,
No,
obviously
I
not. No, she says good, and you are forgiven because you've obviously suffered enough and like no harm was done. But she's like, okay, like, so let Ojo the lucky. But then Ojo interrupts and he's like, it's Ojo the unlucky,
Yeah,
actually.
he's like, excuse me?
And she's like, well, right now it's not unlucky. You should
It's
actually
your
feel pretty
lucky
lucky.
day.
Yeah. So Soldier, let Ojo the lucky out.
Unlucky.
Yeah. And he does. And the people love this. Everyone claps and cheers. And
Yeah,
then they're
the
all like,
crowd is very happy with the outcome.
Oh, okay.
they also have other things to do. So they all leave.
They're like,
the
let's
meeting.
go.
They leave
Move on.
Yeah. They're like, cool.
We're clapping. It's
back to
done.
market.
So Ozma sits Ojo down and she's like, well, tell me your story. And so Ojo tells her all about
And he loves it.
leaving the forest all the way to arriving at the Emerald City and his night in prison. And Ozma thinks for a minute before saying, the crooked magician was wrong to bring Bungle and Scraps to life. And he was wrong to have the liquid of petrifaction in his home at all.
dangerous.
If he wasn't
Yeah.
practicing magic like I specifically told him not to do, none of this would have happened.
Yeah. And that's all true. It's
Very
completely
true. Very true.
And she says, but like Ojo, like I don't think that you deserve to like have your quest interrupted. I don't think that Margolot or Unk Nunky deserve to be petrified forever.
Yeah, Ojo shouldn't be an orphan.
Yeah, continue your quest. Like I will allow the Crooked Magician to do another task and to make the potion, and I'll allow you to take this little green thing with you.
But
Once they get all those ingredients, the wizard is like, once he makes that potion, the Crooked Magician should have his magic taken away. And Ozma's like, oh, I promise it. She doesn't say good idea. She says she promises.
She's taking care of it.
She's going to take it out of him in a way that hurts, I think.
Oh, no.
his last magic act will be restoring Unk Nunky and Margolot if they succeed. But, I mean, not even but. Like, he obviously, like, made a mess. And so, like, this is just the consequences of your actions. But I just feel like Ozma can't take magic from everybody.
I mean, can you take, like, missile launchers from everybody?
Well, sure, but there are good people doing magic, not just bad people.
There's good people who own missile launchers.
But he did petrify 2 people.
Yeah, because accidents happen.
I know.
When there's a missile launcher in your house, it's unsecured
Keep
on the shelf.
your liquid of petrifaction in a safe away from
lock
And
the
if
it
you're
away.
not going to do that, you're getting it taken away.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, you guys are right. So, yeah, they come to the conclusion that his magic will be taken away. And the wizard asks Ojo, so what are the things that you need to find? And Ojo repeats his list. 3 hairs from a woozy's tail, the 6-leaved clover that I.
And Ozma says you can keep it.
She's like, you already picked it. The laws don't pick it. The laws don't have
Yeah.
it. You picked it.
It's yours.
forgiven.
That's what
You're chill.
happened. Yeah.
They need a gill of water from a dark well.
Oof.
The wizard's like,
Yikes.
you might have to travel for a very long time to find that. Ojo's like, if it saves Unk Nunky, I'm game.
And the wizard's like, well, you better start moving then.
Time to go.
You're going to
Because
be going
nobody
for a
knows
while.
what the hell that is.
Oh,
And
yikes.
Dorothy has been listening to all of this with interest, obviously. And she has one question. And that question is, can I join you on
I
your
knew
quest,
it.
Ojo? Yeah.
I knew it. I was like, she's going to ask to fucking join.
Yeah, she fucking wants in on this.
Of course she does.
Ozma's like, do you really want to go, Dorothy? And
She
Dorothy's
hasn't had an
like,
adventure
she's
probably
like,
in a minute.
I know Oz pretty well. Ojo
Yeah.
doesn't know Oz at all. His uncle is like in a bad place. I know what that's like.
Yeah.
I want to go with him.
And she likes half the crew.
Yeah, and the Scarecrow is like, hey, also, like, if Dorothy's going, I'll go to protect her.
Oh, sure.
Since, like, they're going to be going
That's
to strange
the only
places.
reason you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
right.
And, well, then
Well-
Oz... Yeah, so...
Because Ozma says in response to the Scarecrow saying he's going to go too, she's like, okay, great. Like, yeah, you go with Dorothy and Ojo, and I'll keep Scraps safe here. And Scraps is like, I'll keep myself safe, actually, while I go with them. Because I told Ojo that I was going to help him get all of these things, and I mean to keep my word.
She also says, and I want to go with Dorothy and the Scarecrow. She's like, I want to go with them.
Yeah, I'm not going to have FOMO in this situation.
And then Ozma's like, okay, cool, but, like, probably for Bungle and the Woozy, like, I don't think they need to go. So Ozma's just trying to organize this, which I kind of get. Because it's like, that's too many people.
It is a lot of people, I
Bungle
guess.
says she has 0 interest in going on the rest of the trip. She's like,
Perfect.
I would, guys. I'm glass.
They need the
This
Woozy,
is
though.
Bad. Well, the Woozy's like, I'll go. My eyes throw flames. Like, I'll go.
That's helpful.
But Ozma's like, hey, like, your tail hairs are important, so you should just stay here where it's
She's
safe.
like, you're an ingredient. Like, we need to keep you here.
And, like, I kind of get that. I do feel like his eyes, I think...
So now they'll
I
have
think they're
to
gonna
like
meet
go
me on
back
it.
to the Emerald City to
Why
get
doesn't
Woozy.
Glinda
I guess
get the
so.
hairs off the Woozy's tail and then let him use his brute strength?
Glinda's not strong enough.
Well, hopefully Dr. Pip is.
I know. I don't know,
Someone's
man.
gotta have scissors.
But
Someone, please.
Seriously.
so Ozma tells the Woozy that he'll be safer at the royal palace, and the Woozy doesn't argue. They decide that if Ojo is going to find a gill of water from a dark well, he needs to leave like in the morning.
Yeah.
So Ozma gives him a room in the palace to pass the night in, but this is like 10 a.m.
Yeah, like
So-
the trial is the morning.
So he spends the rest of the day with the Shaggy Man and Dorothy, just like trying to figure out where they can go to find
Yeah.
the gill of water.
And he's also getting acquainted with Dorothy because he's never met her before. Like, he met her at the trial. So, like, it says, like, that they're just, like, chatting, like, getting to know each other a little, which makes sense. But then also it's like, give me advice. Let's talk about where we need to go because you guys know Oz.
So
And-
Dorothy's thinking, like,
Yeah.
if it's in a settled part of Oz, I'd know it.
Exactly.
If it's
So
in
they
a-
have to go far-flung places.
She's like, if it's in a wild part of Oz, why would they need a well?
Yeah. We're talking about Bunbury, Bunnybury kind of areas that they're going to, I feel
Okay.
like. Places off the map.
Yeah.
And Ojo is like, hey, like, if the dark well was in the recipe, it has to be out there, which I don't think is sound logic. I could write anything in a book right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, did he buy that book from Mombi?
yeah, but Dorothy's like, if it's in Oz, we're bound to find it. And the Scarecrow, who is also apparently there, is like, okay, well, we're bound to search for it, but like, finding it, that's really more just up to luck.
Okay, let's stay positive though.
Well, Ojo's like, well, don't say that. I'm Ojo the Unlucky.
Oh God.
But,
well, they were lucky
bum.
today,
Yeah.
so
And
let's hope it continues.
With that luck, that's how we end chapter 18. Ojo is forgiven. And Blake, what would you call that?
Ozma Justice, Tuesdays at 8/7 Central. Thank you for listening to Oz Hour. Please join us next time as we continue with Chapter 19, Trouble with the Tottenhots. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Oz Hour Podcast for the latest on everything Oz. Oz Hour, created and hosted by Blake Stone and Wyatt Swingham. Co-hosted by Hannah Aguirre. Audio production by Charlie Johnson. Theme music written and performed by Rudy Klobus. Cover art by Valentin Lucas.